Many investors are waiting to see what's on tap in trading today after Friday's reports that Belgian brewer InBev will make an unsolicited $46 billion bid for Anheuser Busch. News of the takeover sent AB shares Anheuser Busch up more than 7% on Friday trading. But there are rumblings that the King of Beers might not be so interested in teaming up with InBev. Joining us to talk about all this is accidental branding book author and branding expert David Vinjamuri. And Harry Schumacher, who's the editor and publisher for Beer Business Daily. Welcome to the two of you. Thanks so much for joining me.
Good morning.
Oh, okay. Do we have Harry with us or no? Okay, I apologize. We don't have Harry. So, David, I have you all by myself. My apologies. All right, so what do you make of this? Is this legit? Do we really believe that InBev will, in fact, make a bid for Budweiser?
Yeah, there's been speculation about this bid for about a year, and it's been something that's expected. Whether it's welcome is another question. Anheuser Busch is a family-controlled company, or I should say a family-run company. It's not really controlled by the family, and it's a very conservative company, so it's not at all clear that they're interested.
Why would this be such an attractive deal? What is so appealing for InBev, and especially if you can talk about what's given right now, the volumes in the businesses?
What InBev is interested in with this potential merger is the Asian markets. And for them, potentially I think China is interesting, because if you look at it, there's 27% of Qingdao, which is the biggest beer in China, or the number 2 with Snow, is owned by Anheuser Busch. So there's the opportunity there. They also have 14 breweries, so there's the opportunity to grow there. In addition, the U.S. market would give some stability to InBev's profile, which is primarily European and Brazilian.
Because as I understand it, we were just recently at Anheuser Busch at Budweiser at their headquarters, and as I understand it, they have their major market shares really in the United States, where they have just about 50% of the market share. But for an InBev, this is where they need a bigger footprint. But one could argue that Anheuser Busch as well needs to improve their footprint. So what do they do? Because there's all the speculation that Augie Busch is going to say, no, I'm not selling, and he's going to do something else to fend off this takeover bid.
Yeah, well, the speculation is that if he says no, that they would look potentially at Group Modelo, which they own half of.
The owner of Corona.
The owner of Corona Beer, and that they might actually try to take over the rest of that. These are two relatively comparable size companies, so it might make it a little bit too big to swallow.
And as I understand it, they have a 30% stake in Grupo Modelo, which is giving them $500 million a year in dividends, and some say that's valued at $10 billion. Could they go for that bigger market share or that bigger stake in Grupo Modelo, and with that combined entity fight off InBev? Because some suggest InBev may not even have the money to come up with the $46 billion to make the deal in the first place.
Yeah, you know, the rumors are that InBev has put together the financing, but we don't know yet. And it's quite possible that they could take over Grupo Modelo. The other possibility actually is it could go the other way, that Grupo Modelo could actually take this opportunity to purchase themselves back.
Okay, I think we've got Harry with us now, so David, just stay with me 1 second. Harry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great, Harry. So tell us, what do you make of all this talk and speculation? I know it was put in print on Friday, but I think it's been rumored in the option market for several days. Is it a good deal?
Well, it's probably an expensive deal, but InBev is no stranger to making expensive deals because they know they can cut costs later.
What about SAB Miller in the middle of this? You know, I understand that InBev would want to do this to increase their footprint in places where they don't have as great a market share, perhaps take the Budweiser brand to some of those emerging markets. But what about the talk and speculation that if they can't do a deal with Anheuser Busch, that perhaps they'd look to do something with SAB Miller?
Well, that's kind of new news. You know, I think InBev is just looking really for any big deal out there. That's kind of what they do, and the you know, the big brewers available out there are diminishing, and you know, that might have just been a leak, and to kind of get Anheuser Busch shareholders, you know, get them off the fence.
But, Harry, what would happen to Anheuser Busch? Because one of the things a lot of people have talked about with the company, you know, you've got guys like Warren Buffett, who are one of the biggest shareholders of the company, who have said that part of the reason they've had such great success, at least with branding and marketing and advertising, is because it has been a family-controlled business. What would happen to the quality of that business if InBev were to take it over?
Well, that's a concern. You know, and the U.S. beer business is mature, and in order to make money here, you have to spend money. And AB they're obviously great brand marketers. They spend a lot of money behind marketing, and it's a U.S. It's an American icon. So yeah, there is that concern that if you do cut to the bone, some of that's going to have to come out of marketing, particularly at the levels. If you buy it out at $65 a share.
Dave, what do you think?
Well, I think that Anheuser Busch is an iconic American marketer. They're a big event marketer, so they're the largest advertiser on the Super Bowl. They do a lot of interesting things. They've not been as successful in the last couple of years. They've only grown 2% their domestic business, and they're already distributing InBev's products, Stella and Beck's in the U.S.
Yeah, they have a partnership with them.
Exactly. So it's hard for me to see the opportunity in the U.S. As strongly, and I'd be worried about that cultural clash and really changing the moves of a U.S. marketer.
Okay, so David, play it forward for me. A couple weeks from now, what happens? I mean, how do these brewers all figure out what the right solution is to the deal?
Well, I think the real question...
Whether there should be a deal.
Exactly. I think the real question is the shareholders of Anheuser Busch, because the company, the family doesn't control the company. Warren Buffett is obviously very, very influential and potentially interested in the deal. So it really depends on how appealing it is to them and what position management takes on this to see whether this moves forward.
Harry, you agree?
I do agree completely.
So you think, Harry, that it's right now, I would argue, I'm sure, as a shareholder of Anheuser Busch, you'd say, don't fend this off right away by buying a bigger share in Grupo Modelo. Listen to the bid, look at the options on the table, and then decide what to do from there.
Exactly. I mean, you got to take take shareholder value and listen to the bid and maybe negotiate and maybe get something better.
All right, Harry and David, we'll leave it there. Thank you both so much.